Alright guys, so a little bit of a new video. In one of these Secret Ninja fucking updates they updated the combat algorithm, which is actually kind of concerning because if you look at the actual death ratio as far as each one of these, we were doing a lot of testing just to see what was actually happening and as far as deaths. But if you look for somebody that is completely upgraded like me, usually you'd be looking at 110, 115k deaths per hit. And these are full hits. But as you can see, I mean, the most you're getting is about 39 to 40,000 per hit. Even versus somebody that is actually stronger than me by stats, it's the same thing. Yeah, see, they're only at 35. So this tells me that they reworked the combat versus death ratio, which means that the evos like sorry, I'm having to look for it because I'm not totally, like fatal attack for instance, where it adds 15, and then there's another fatal attack in, trying to remember where it's at, bear with me. Again, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so it takes me a little minute to be able to figure these things out. However, I am a math nerd, so that kind of gives me a little bit of edge. Zone fight, that's where it's at. Yeah, fatal attack, which gives another 15, which used to give a flat 30% into basically any of the death to healing ratio. But what it's looking like is that when you go into combat, it's actually giving approximately 15% now. So that's basically telling me that as far as the death to defeat ratio that we used to have in most combats, that's basically giving an edge to players that are not pay to win, that don't have those done. It's giving you approximately a 10 to 15% edge having those researches done, which is not a lot, honestly, when you think about the overall concept of it, which explains a lot when in these current days people are complaining about not having as much damage as they're having, not having as much kills as they're having in both PvE and PvP. So that's an interesting factor to be able to look at. The next thing that I want to look at, and somebody asked about this, is as far as spending habits. For me, it really depends. The one major thing that you want to spend on, if you have $1 a week, is this pack right here, the Strongest Warzone exclusive pack. You want to get that as much as you possibly can. Now, if you are going through the T10 research or anything that is creature remain heavily, if you're not, I mean, you should be getting your 9 shells on every day besides building day anyway, but for T10, you definitely want to get this pack. $10 a week, it'll at least allow you to be able to get 9 shells. That's for a light spender. As far as for heavy spending, I mean, that's you. Any of the other packs, I mean, you can do as you want, but if you're going to spend on anything other than that, I suggest this one, which is the Insect Growth Pack. So that's entirely up to you. we'll move on to the next thing, which is this current event for this new ant. Personally, the way I'm seeing this new ant is, I think it's going to be fairly decent. It, especially with this skill here, which basically every time it procs has the chance, or it has a guarantee to be able to, it has an 80% chance to release 3 times the skill chance. So basically, if it does proc, it's going to release 80% of 3 skills, which every skill attack deals 100% plus 0.5, so that's 125 if you have it at level 50. That's pretty heavy. That's a damn good skill. We also look at this one. Parasitic event, parasitic effect, which any one of the enemy squads can be stacked up to 3 times the parasitic effect. The squad will deal 100%. That's pretty good too. 100% plus 1, so that's 150% damage, and the effect will reset. So that's pretty heavy too. We don't know exactly what the parasitic effect itself does yet, but with time we will. And then this one too is interesting, especially with being a universal that has an individual. For shooters especially, this one has probably the best effect, for the main fact that it has the skill crit rate increased by 5%, which increases by 50% when it's maxed. That's huge, especially for shooters who are, by and large, glass cannon. So they really need that. For Guardian, I'm meh about that one. That one really doesn't do anything. For Carrier, the skill damage, that's pretty badass, to be honest. So this ant, both in PvP and PvP, can be extremely useful. If you're a pay-to-win player, it might be one to consider getting, even if it's not necessarily in your pro for PvP, because I don't think it would really be best in your pro for PvP, but for PvE, however, this could be a very good to-go ant to get. Anyway, guys, again, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm trying to blow up my channel, so maybe, perhaps I can be one day. Hopefully y'all help me out with that. I'm hoping that this video actually helps somebody and helps y'all. And if you guys have any questions, if you want me to go into the combat mechanics of how this game works or how I figured these things out, I would be happy to help. If you have any questions, have anything that you want me to cover, I would be more than happy to help. I'm going to be going into island mechanics and how to best set yourself off right when we get in, and hopefully you guys all like it. Try and do anything I can to help y'all. Anyway, y'all have a good night.